Just doesn't seem worth the effort. So the final trailer dropped for Rise of Skywalker. And I'm not happy about the fact that I felt nothing watching it. That actually really bums me the heck out. Because every other Star Wars trailer got at least some little something out of me. Even Solo, like, had a couple of moments in those early trailers where I was like, oh, like one little thing. So to get the hair to stand up a little bit. The Force Awakens trailer had it in spades. Rogue One pulled it off. The trailers for Last Jedi did it. Solo did it probably the least prior to this, but still had a little bit. I honestly, I felt nothing on this. I don't think that makes it a bad trailer. I don't think that even necessarily means it's going to be a bad movie. It just means that I feel very detached from this franchise right now. I think ultimately the reason that this trailer did nothing for me is that it's one of those trailers that banks very heavily on its weight as a concluding chapter in a story that I've kind of checked out from. I imagine watching this trailer and feeling the way I did is probably similar to somebody watching a trailer for Endgame if that somebody didn't care about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They'd be looking at it going, boy, this thing certainly seems to feel like it's important, but I don't care. That's kind of how I feel about this. Except I used to, which is just really irritating. And I can't even pin it on one thing. I'm not even really going to blame it on The Last Jedi. But I've lost the passion for Star Wars. I just can't bring myself to care, and I don't know why. Like, I've had things that I've enjoyed go sour on me, but I've gotten angry about that. I don't ever remember feeling this numb, feeling this resigned. And again, that's not me saying this movie will suck. I hope it doesn't. I plan to see it. I would very much like to come away having enjoyed it. I don't like not liking things. And I really don't like feeling little to nothing from something that used to give me something, make me smile. There are two instances that got a glimmer of something out of me, and even that was minor. One was this nice little moment of Rey and Chewie in the cockpit of the Falcon just sort of pausing to look at each other, and Rey kind of smiles. That was nice. And the one shot of Kylo Ren almost perked me up, because I still find him to be a very fascinating character. I'm not sure how good a character he actually is. I feel like that's one of the problems with a lot of the new characters. They're difficult to judge until they're done. I feel like I don't really get Rey still. And I've never been like, oh, Mary Sue. Like, no, I've never felt that about her. I've been fine with her. But I also feel like I don't know how to judge her because I don't totally know what's going on with her. I get Finn a bit. Poe I get. Kylo Ren, I feel like there's an arc going on that the payoff for it is going to heavily favor whether I end up deciding I like or dislike him as a character. Right now I'm leaning towards like, because I think he as a character has been really interesting, at least to me and my sensibilities. But, I mean, Doesn't mean they'll pay it off well. And of course, there's the thing that I brought up last time I talked about a Star Wars trailer, which is the Emperor's back. And that, honestly, that more than anything is probably what's killed my interest. More than my distaste for The Last Jedi. And again, if you are relatively new to the channel and you haven't seen my thoughts on The Last Jedi, reviews there. I stand by all of it, and my quick sum up is it's actually not dissimilar to how I feel about Series 11 of Doctor Who. I have a fair amount of issues with it, but they're not the ones that the loudest and most annoying critics of the thing keep shouting about. So, but I still didn't care for it. But I don't think that's why I feel numb right now. I don't even think Solo made me feel that. And Solo was a soulless little cash grab of a film that was a bad idea from the get-go and had very few highlights. But The Emperor coming back was always top of my list for things I never, ever wanted to see happen. And having it happen not only kills my interest in this movie, but it makes me retroactively annoyed that I ever cared about the previous two, if this was always in the cards and this was always going to happen. I don't know how much time I want to devote to explaining why I hate The Emperor coming back so much, but simplifying it as much as I can, bringing back the Emperor negates Return of the Jedi, as far as I'm concerned. It negates the victory. They didn't really win, because he's not dead. And yeah, I'm going to consider that to be the case, even if he did in fact die, but somehow came back. If he came back, if they didn't, then that to me means they didn't win. My heroes didn't win. And in fact, at this point, they're dead. And I was prepared to roll with it. With Han being dead, and Luke being dead, and the presumption that Leia is going to be dead because we lost Carrie Fisher, so I know they're shooting around that as best they can, but I imagine they're going to have to take her out of the narrative. I was more willing to accept them being gone if it was something that happened later. It's something else. Yes, the First Order very clearly picked up some of the resources, some of the mentality of the Empire, but it was a new thing. It was a new thing with a new generation of fighters who were going to be the ones to take it on. Fine. I still don't love it because I would like for my heroes to have had their happy ending. They won. They should be able to have their happy ending and not die in another war 20 whatever years later. 30, 40, however freaking long it's been. But the idea that the Emperor, either because he was in fact never dead, or he had some contingency plan where he could still come back even this much time later, if either of those is the case, and one of them has to be, one of these things has to be the case, then that means that the heroes of the films I love didn't win, ever. They didn't win the war they were fighting and then die in another war that they were honestly a bit too old for, which, a little depressing, but I was prepared to roll with it. Instead, they die in an extension of the war they thought they won but never really did. The idea of the Emperor coming back at all was a very large reason of why I never got into the Star Wars Expanded Universe stuff. Well before there were going to be more movies. When it was, Dark Empire and Thrawn and whatever else. Because there there were clones and there was this and there was that. Like, Return of the Jedi was a victory. It was supposed to be a victory. Why can't they win? I was prepared to accept new threat. I'm not prepared to accept same threat. Oh, wait, your heroes who are now dead and can't finish the fight didn't ever win. This plot development puts such a bad taste in my mouth that it does sour Force Awakens. I can't say it sours Last Jedi because I already didn't like Last Jedi, but I liked Force Awakens. I really did. I enjoyed it. There's now a bad taste in my mouth at the very thought of watching it again because the end implication of all of this really looks like it cannot escape the idea that the good guys never won. And I hate that. I really, really, really hate that. I'm not going to go so far as to say this ruins the original trilogy, because no, the original trilogy is timeless and amazing, and if I choose to ignore these new films and focus on that original trilogy at the exclusion of these, then they are untouched and they are untainted. It helps that it's a completely different creative team, so it's not like I have it in the back of my head, oh god, George Lucas was always going to do this, and it was in his head even when he did Return of the Jedi. No, I've got none of that tainting it, so don't make the leap that I'm saying, this ruins my childhood, because it doesn't. But what it does do is force me to cut off my fandom at Return of the Jedi, because this has tainted Force Awakens for me. I still enjoy Rogue One. I'll still give it that. And again, I'm not even going to be like, this whole thing has been so stupid and it's been awful. No. But it's, for me, and I only ever speak for me, I just can't care now. Like I said, I'm still going to see it. And I'm not trying to hate watch it. And I know some people will say, you clearly made up your mind before you went in. I mean, maybe. I don't think so. I haven't made up my mind it's going to be bad. But I do have an existing opinion about what appears to be the major plot contrivance of it. I can't not have an opinion about that. It's a thing I know, so I'm going to have an opinion on it. And yes, it's a negative opinion. I want this to prove me wrong. I really, really, really do. But I don't have faith in this anymore. And that bums me the heck out. I love Star Wars. You know, that lightsaber that you saw at the front end, that was a birthday present. And I love it. And I've done Star Wars cosplay. And I still love that original trilogy. I even like Revenge of the Sith. Don't really like the other two prequels, but I do like that one. Star Wars has always been a part of my life. I don't remember watching Star Wars for the first time. So I don't love not looking forward to them. This is not me saying nobody go see it. This is not me saying this ruined my childhood. This is not me saying, even shaking my fist saying, how dare you? I'm just saying something that I used to love is now no longer for me, is what it feels like. And it's not a good feeling. Even if I don't like this movie, I hope other people do. There were certainly people who liked The Last Jedi, and I'm glad they got something out of it I didn't. And even if I don't like Rise of Skywalker, even if I end up hating it. I don't wish that on anybody else, because this doesn't feel good. So those are my thoughts and my very long-winded ramble on the trailer. I did very little talking specifically about the trailer for Rise of Skywalker, but I did. What is there for me to talk about? I didn't feel enough to break it down. Whatever your thoughts are on any of this, and if I've just depressed the ever-loving crap out of you, I apologize. Drop your thoughts down in the comments and let's talk about it. A bunch of stuff to do down there as well. You can support me on Patreon. Maybe that'll pep me up a little. Failing that, if you don't feel like doing that, there's the like and the subscribe, both of which are greatly appreciated. Links to my other social media down below. Link to my book that I wrote, P.O. Blocks, blah, blah, blah. All down in the description. Click on them. They'll take you places, or don't. You don't have to, because at the end of the day, you're the council. I'm just running the meetings. And until next time, may the Force be with you.